Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 17th of October. Looking at the euro dollar first, and well, yesterday we saw a bit of a sell-off. It wasn't a really main sell-off, but this morning we've already sold off here as expected in my weekly outlook that's there. We are possibly heading down towards the monthly S1 at some point. Certainly, I would suggest I'd look at those prior lows. So there's possibly a bit more in this. But one thing to bear in mind is the average true range has slipped back on the euro dollar quite a bit. In fact, let's just bring that up, and it's dropped back down to about 70 pips now. It's been falling for a while here as it's been consolidating. It's not unusual to see this. It's a bit more unusual to see October, sort of October going into November with less volatility, but it's probably not quite a shock after seeing the summer hitting reasonable volatility, almost double what we saw a couple of years ago. But anyway, for now, we're seeing this volatility dropping. What it does mean is the daily pivots are more pinched together, and when you look at this, we're already through into the S2, so the daily pivots today may just not hold on to being too good in terms of support. As I said, it's been selling off. It's sold off through the Asian session here as well as yesterday. Retracements may give us opportunities to sell again. The 60-21s were hammered. They were being hammered. They ran through it. It ran through it yesterday. In fact, it was a 30-50 that eventually stops the price action. But it's still trickling down here. As I say, retracements and to sell into would be my favoured way on the euro. That said, it hasn't got a great deal of movement above. Just run back to that daily pivot, which hasn't been hit yet, but I'd rather be selling into anything, and if it does come back to that, that may be an opportunity to sell again. Okay, cable. Looking at the pound dollar here then, and well, that I was looking yesterday. It was the bullish and bullish of the two up until later in the day, and it just decided to sell. Particularly late afternoon. It's looking relatively weak now, or weaker. It's never quite, I don't think, or it may have I don't think it did actually put a pivot swing in there, but whatever, it does look a bit on the weaker side, and I'm really looking at the potential for this to maybe sell off and from where we are now. It may just hold up better than the euro, but it's moving probably the same sort of number of points, and so relatively it's got the potential to continue to the downside, and I'm really looking at some point at yesterday's lows, the S1 potentially. It's just finding an entry into that, but again, this time it came off this morning's move has come off the daily pivot already, so it's run off that daily pivot. It's below the daily pivot, back towards that weekly pivot, and if it starts breaking through that, we may have an even bigger move. Pivots are still relatively pinched here, but I would expect them to hold into the S2s, S3s, be holding up unless there's some significant news on the inflation data that comes out at 9:30. So if the inflation data was to come out particularly bad, I would expect a bit more movement. What we've got to bear in mind, though, what may support the pound today is we've got at least two MPC speakers testifying before the Treasury Select Committee. So we've got Tenrero. Yeah, well, something similar to that anyway. And the Bank of England Governor Carney. Now they've been talking about, and will most likely talk about the potential of increasing interest rates in the coming months, and that may just hold the pound up a little bit better. So this morning may be kind to the pound. I'll just have to let them get their speeches out of the way and look for the afternoon movement maybe on the pound and see what happens then. Anything solid and bolsters, and this is what's upholding the market at the moment. We've got the Brexit pressure putting down on this market, the potential interest rate increase pushing up on the market. So it's hence why the pound is holding as well as it is. relatively. Okay, that's the pound. So we'll probably have to wait on the pound to trade it effectively. Maybe some opportunities, but short term maybe. Dollar yen. Well, it's starting. I was looking to see if this was going to roll over yesterday. It was starting to move, certainly pushing quite low yesterday. But it's again, it's the dollar strength that's coming through the markets is showing, and no exception here either. Then, so we're seeing this sort of looking like it may push up now. If it does get head on, well, break at the 50s, etc., may be more positive. I'd be looking for any selling into that 50. I know it's been tested before, but into that sort of region, I'm sure traders would be looking at or just the other side of it with stop. So I would be wary of that sort of level. For now, well, it's just air kissed the daily pivot there. The S1 may come in quite nicely with that 4-hourly 50 and the 60-minute 200 there, so that may just stifle things a little bit. But at the moment, it does look like it's starting to get a bit more bullish again. Okay, Aussie dollar. Well, the Aussie dollar, we had the monetary policy meeting minutes out overnight. It's edged down a little bit from that. To me, it was looking like it would have been a good sell into the monthly pivot, but it looks like with that bearish Harami it did yesterday and ended up with, they may go before then, but there are some more data, or there is some more data out later this week that may affect the Aussie dollar. So for now, though, it does look weak. It may be opportunities to do something. If it comes back to the pivot, but at the moment there's a bit of divergence going on in the hourlies. It may just stall the progress of this downside. That said, it did pop up quite a bit in between there, but we'll see. Not one I'll be trading this morning for sure, but there is, if it starts reversing, the opportunity for it to push up towards that daily pivot. Of course, probabilities of pivots being hit is always high, but with the other markets looking weak, the Aussie may be no exception. It's got nothing there to drive it in any other way. Okay, Canadian dollar, I was looking all day yesterday to try and get into a long on this, and I'm still looking to get into a long on this. To me, it's got a further upside to come here, potentially. It's getting closer to some of the targets we're looking at, maybe the actually coming back a little bit. I was looking for this weekly 21 and maybe even more. It may ride back up to that 29.85 area at some point. So the sort of areas I was looking at to watch how that comes through. There's not a lot of, I was just checking on the data coming out today. There's not a lot of other data to really shove any of these markets. So it's really down to the technicals at the end of the day. But still looking at the potential for this to be pushing up towards 100 or maybe even the 200 on the dailies. Short term here is just pushing off again this morning. It's gone again without me. Just looking for a retrace to buy. So I'll be looking at opportunities to start building a position on that maybe. Okay, that's it for me. Have a good day. I'll be back in the morning. Bye for now.